Okay, it's time to answer some questions. This is a new little series that I'm going to post once a week, starting with this video right here, where I'm going to answer a few of the questions that I get asked a lot in comments. Now, y'all DM me hundreds and hundreds of DMs, and I always get to them as I see them. So if I've not answered you yet, it's just because I haven't seen it, but when I do, I promise I will. But in the meantime, once a week, you can know that there's a video coming where you can ask me any questions you want and then look for the answer the next week. So today, we're going to start with this one right here. Y'all know that I do a lot of upcycles and a lot of fun things with lighting, and I always use these little pop lights. And y'all asked me what I do with all my remotes for all my pop lights. Well, here is a little trick. If you buy the same brand of pop lights, say you buy a couple of boxes of this, whatever brand this is, the remote for one of them will work for all of them. You don't have to use a separate remote for each one. The remotes are universal per brand. At least in all my experience, I've never found one that's not. So usually when I buy my pop lights or puck lights, I call them pop lights, but I think it's puck light. I always try to buy the same brand in a big batch. And then I just pull one of the remotes out, put the other ones in a little baggie in a drawer for backups. And that's the one remote I use. So when I'm ready to turn them all on, I could just push my button and they all come on. So that's just a little trick. I don't have a ton of remotes. I just use one remote per batch of pop lights that I have. Then I just keep my little remote in a drawer, and when I'm ready to turn on my lights, I just go around and one remote for all of them. Next up, I posted some entertaining hacks. One about candles, about putting a little touch of water in the base of your votive holder before you put your candle in. Really, it can be any kind of candle, big, little. Just like this much water. It's a really old restaurant trick. Then when you burn your candle down, you're having a dinner party or whatever, and it melts all the way down to the bottom. A lot of people were like, why don't you just put it in the freezer? Because then the next day you can pop it right out. Well, that's great. That's a great trick. However, if you just put a touch of water, like barely any in the bottom, when your candle melts down, at the end of the night, you can skip the freezer altogether. It takes you 30 seconds or 10 seconds to pull the candle out because it's not allowed to stick to anywhere because it's got a little water in it. Easy cleanup. You're not dealing with the freezer. So that is why I do it with the water, and I think it's the best. Next up, a lot of you asked me about my little hack to take out a broken light bulb. A lot of you say just turn it all off and use pliers to twist it out, which is great. That works too. But I take a screwdriver and I put duct tape on it backwards so the sticky part's out, and then I turn everything off. I insert that in, and then I twist it out that way. It's not the tip of the screwdriver, it's the handle of the screwdriver. And the reason I do that is because all those little glass fragments that kind of chip away and fall out and get everywhere, if you use your pliers, that doesn't happen when you use the duct tape trick, because all the glass sticks to that, and then you can just twist it right out and then pull the tape off, wrap it up, and throw it away. I have that video and I'll post it again if somebody wants to see it. And last but not least, a question that I've gotten a lot lately is how I get my wicks to last longer and not burn down into like a big hole in the middle of my candle. So here's what I suggest, and it usually works like 90% of the time. Right when you get your new candle, trim the wick down to 1/4. And then when you burn your candle the very first time, it's very important that you allow your candle, as it melts down, to let the entire top of the candle become liquid. Don't blow out your candle before you've got that entire top liquid. It's really important because then you're just creating a little hole, and then it's just going to kind of build off of that if you blow it out before the whole thing is allowed to liquefy on top. So you may need to burn your candle for the first time for a few hours, and and then you should be fine. If you do get some tunneling, you can always take a little tin foil and kind of put it around the top of the candle, leaving a little hole in the top, and light it and let it all do that, and it should even out. And last but not least, one of my favorite things to do when I first get a candle is light it. Just light your candle, let it go black, just like that. Because guess what? When it's time for your dinner party or you're lighting your birthday candles, whatever it may be, if it's already been burnt once, that little coating of wax that's on the wick is gone, and you'll be able to light it in like half a second. Click, 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 click. You can light a whole cake of candles really fast if you pre-light those suckers. But if not, you're waiting. You sit there and wait for it to burn. So such a pain in the butt. But right when you get them, put them in, burn it, let it look black, blow it out, and then you can use them either on a cake or for entertaining. And also it looks like you use the candle. If you just leave it like white, it kind of looks a little too fresh for me. You want to look like it's used and your house is lived in. And also don't forget, it's time for questions. So any questions that you have, put in those comments, and next week I will answer all of them. And you can ask me anything you want. I'm an open book. You can ask me about upcycles, tools, hacks, anything about me you want to know, my family, whatever. Whatever you want to know, I'll answer it. So until the next time, happy upcycling.